Live from New Delhi, watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate Micron Technology ATMP facility in Sanand, Gujarat. Move marks major milestone in India's semiconductor manufacturing journey. Donald Trump says he is not happy with Iran nuclear talks, opposes any uranium enrichment as negotiations mediated by Oman show progress but no breakthrough. Afghanistan calls for dialogue to resolve Pakistan conflict hours after Islamabad launches airstrikes on Kabul and Kandahar. UN chief stresses on resolving differences through diplomacy. Bolivia military plane crash kills 15 and injures 30. Air Force aircraft was carrying new banknotes from the country's central bank. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in India's western state of Gujarat today, where he will inaugurate the semiconductor ATMP, or the Assembly, Test and Packaging Facility of Micron Semiconductor Technology India Private Limited in Sanand. He will also address a gathering. The inauguration marks a significant milestone in India's semiconductor manufacturing journey, with the commencement of commercial production and shipment of the first made-in-India semiconductor memory modules from the Sanand ATMP facility. The project, which had its groundbreaking ceremony in September 2023, was the first proposal approved under the India Semiconductor Mission. With a total outlay of more than Rs 22,500 crore, construction commenced soon after approval, reflecting the government's commitment to fast-tracking strategic semiconductor investments in the country. The Sanand facility, once fully ramped up, will feature approximately 500,000 square feet of clean room space, making it one of the world's largest raised floor clean rooms. The facility is designed to serve customers worldwide and address the growing global demand for memory and storage solutions driven by rapid advancements in artificial intelligence and high-performance computing. The Sanand ATMP facility will convert advanced dynamic random access memory and NAND semiconductor wafers from Micron's global manufacturing network into finished memory and storage products, catering to customers across global markets. Ahead of the Prime Minister's visit, DD India's Meghna Dev spoke to the CEO of Micron Technology, Sanjay Mehrotra.
A landmark moment for India with the inauguration of this semiconductor ATMP facility that Micron is coming up with in Sanand, which will be inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We are joined in by the CEO, Sanjay Mehrotra. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to DD India. Very important. This was much awaited project. It is finished in record time. What do you have to say? Prime Minister will be inaugurating it very soon now.
This is a historic moment for India, for Micron Technology. Micron Technology is a global leader in memory and storage semiconductor technology, and that is today at the heart of AI. Micron here is now bringing that leading edge memory production to India. We are very excited on behalf of all of the 1,300 team members here in this facility and another 4,000 of Micron team members in Hyderabad and Bangalore. We are very excited to welcome the Prime Minister and other honorable ministers to open this facility tomorrow. So this is a pioneering project for semiconductor manufacturing in India.
How do you see India's strides in the semiconductor ecosystem, because India has just announced the Indian Semiconductor Mission 2.0 in its budget. How do you see it growing in the future, becoming a long-term player in the ecosystem?
We here are definitely planning from phase 1 today, which is being opened, to phase 2 in the future. This will grow to a facility that will be over time 5,000 manufacturing workers here, and another nearly 5,000 that will be enabled in the ecosystem as well. So this is just the beginning. Micron is pioneering this project with the support of the government, with, of course, the policies that this Modi ji's government has enabled here. Micron is ready to ramp up volume production and put into production multiple hundreds of millions of advanced memory chips into assembly and test here and be able to ship it globally worldwide.
So here we had the CEO of Micron Technology speak to us on obviously the much awaited inauguration of this ATMP facility, as well as definitely something that will create more buzz in the semiconductor ecosystem, which awaits to come in India as well as which exists in India at the moment. With camera person Vinod Oja, this is Megha Dev for ED India from Sanand, Gujarat.
India is executing a major strategic shift from being a primarily import-dependent consumer to a global semiconductor maker, with 2026 acting as a pivotal year for commercial production. Evident from the India AI Impact Summit 2026 held in New Delhi, which marked a defining milestone in country's rise as a global artificial intelligence power. How? We get you details in our next report.
Against the backdrop of geopolitical supply chain pressures and the global race for microchips, industry captains and government leaders laid out a compelling narrative. India is ready to move from chip consumer to chip maker, anchored by AI innovation and manufacturing muscle. The summit saw ministers and top executives highlight how India's semiconductor strategy dovetails with its AI roadmap under the newly launched India Semiconductor Mission 2.0, designed to build a full-stack ecosystem from design to fabrication and packaging. Meanwhile, in a movement that became a major highlight of the AI Impact Summit, India signed Pax Silica, America's coalition to secure the global chip supply chain.
We also had Pax Silica today, which is very important for us from the semiconductor industry perspective, from resilient supply chain, resilient value chain perspective. And the fact that we are today seen, whether in Europe or in Australia or in US or in Southeast Asia, everywhere we are seen as a trusted country.
Global leaders from electronics and technology sectors echoed confidence in India's growth trajectory. They emphasized collaboration across design, fabrication, packaging, and talent development, key pillars to compete with established hubs in East Asia and the West. At the summit, industry captains stressed that India's vast tech talent, rising demand for chips, and proactive policy support make it a compelling destination for semiconductor investments.
I'm very encouraged, I'm very energized. I believe there's an incredible opportunity for India with AI. And one of the things I like a lot about this, being a semiconductor company, I like the AI opportunity, the electronics manufacturing opportunity that's happening in India, the semiconductor supply chain. When I put all of this together, I see that this is going to be a great opportunity of growth, of development, especially with a lot of new technologies that AI is changing, from mobile to automotive to the personal computing, industrial, robotics, all the way to the data center.
India's chip push isn't abstract. It's now tangible with multiple fabrication and assembly plants under construction, supported by fiscal incentives and global collaborations. These investments signal a shift in the world's semiconductor map. Government projections focus on doubling GPU capacity, accelerating AI compute infrastructure, and fostering domestic chip design, all essential to reducing reliance on imported silicon and powering next-gen AI systems.
We have announced partnership with some of the ecosystem players, such as Synopsys of USA for design, Tokyo Electron of Japan for equipment, ASMPT of Singapore for packaging, and we'll continue to seek more partners. This is possible because of our Honorable Prime Minister's global outreach and emphasis on India's semiconductor mission.
For decades, India's strength lay in software and services. But at the AI Impact Summit 2026, global industry captains and policymakers converged on a bold vision to make India a design-to-manufacturing powerhouse with AI at its core. With computation, chips, and innovation now on the same highway, the country's semiconductor ambitions are shifting from aspiration to execution on the world stage. In New Delhi, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
And in the high-stakes world of global automotive safety, there's a zero room for error. Today, we take you inside a Chennai factory where an AI startup is giving machines a human eye to ensure that Make in India products meet the world's toughest standards.
From the motorways of Germany to the industrial hubs of India, a silent revolution is keeping the world safe. This is a story of where heavy metal meets high intelligence. FI Auto Components is a powerhouse producing safety-critical air brake systems for global giants like Benz and Tata. With 45% of their production exported to the US and European nations, good enough is never an option. With 200 installations over the last 3 years, MSIS intelligence is the secret weapon behind FI Auto's global success. They are not just meeting standards, they are setting the gold standard for IATF and German VDA requirements.
Like 200 installations are there, and we are in the process of recalibrating ourselves to scale it to 1,000 plus systems. In the last 3 years we have done 0 to 200, so now next 2-3 years we want to have a strategy and plan to have 1,000 plus installations across India.
With a revenue of over 40 crore rupees and 200 employees, FI Auto is scaling up. By using the agentic AI platform of MSIS, they are meeting the strict standards of Germany and Poland, making Indian engineering a global benchmark. This is the new face of Make in India, a synergy of local talent and cutting-edge algorithms. Bureau Report, DD India.
And the India AI Impact Summit 2026, held in New Delhi in February, boldly advanced India's Vishwa Guru vision, uniting more than 100 nations to champion inclusive, ethical AI for the Global South. More in this report.
The India AI Impact Summit 2026, held in February, positioned India as a rising global AI leader under its Vishwaguru vision of guiding the world through inclusive and ethical innovation. The Manav framework was introduced, emphasizing moral, accountable, national sovereignty-focused, accessible and valid AI, shifting discourse from safety risks to real-world impact for the Global South. More than 100 countries participated, culminating in the New Delhi Declaration inspired by the principle of Sarvjan Hitai, Sarvjan Sukhai, that is, welfare of all, happiness of all. The declaration emphasizes that the benefits of AI should be shared equally with the whole of humanity. The India AI Impact Summit 2026 concluded with the New Delhi Declaration endorsed by 91 countries and organizations, launching the Charter for Democratic Diffusion of AI, Framework for Trusted AI Commons, Guidance Note on AI Governance, Principles for Skilling and Reskilling, Guiding Principles on Resilient AI, and the Alliance for Advancing Inclusion through AI, alongside Frontier AI Impact Commitments. It emphasized inclusive, human-centric growth with pillars focused on people, planet, and progress. The summit highlighted India's push for sovereign AI stack and applications in healthcare, agriculture, and education. Despite logistical challenges, it marked a transition from vision to action, reinforcing India's role in equitable global AI governance. Antara Sinha for DD India.
Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Donald Trump moves to ban Anthropic amid a Pentagon clash as OpenAI lands the defense deal. Poland plans social media ban for children under 15 as countries explore restrictions amid claims that social media services are harmful or addictive for minors. An AI robot monk offers spiritual advice in Japan.
Welcome to Siliguri and Darjeeling.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. US President Donald Trump on Friday voiced frustration with Iran's stance in nuclear negotiations as US staff left Israel due to safety concerns. Donald Trump said he was not happy with the current negotiations with Iran over Tehran's nuclear program, emphasizing that he opposes any level of uranium enrichment that could potentially contribute to the development of a nuclear weapon, an objective Iran continues to deny pursuing.
They should make a deal, but they don't want to quite go far enough, and it's too bad. Look, we've been playing with them for 47 years, and that's a long time. They've been blowing the legs off our people, blowing the face off our people, the arms. They've been knocking out ships one by one. But every month there's something else, so you can't put up with it too long. We're not happy with the negotiation. They just don't want to. They don't want to say the key words, we're not going to have a nuclear weapon. They have to say, we're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And they just can't quite get there. They want to enrich a little bit. You don't have to enrich when you have that much oil. So I'm not happy with the negotiation.
But Oman, which mediated the Geneva talks, offered a much rosier picture and said that Iran had agreed to zero stockpiling of any uranium. Omani Foreign Minister Saeed Badr Hamad Al Busaidi met with US Vice President J.D. Vance on Friday following the latest rounds of US-Iran talks. Trump has ordered the biggest military build-up in decades in West Asia with the world's largest aircraft carrier. The USS Gerald R. Ford left port near the Greek island of Crete on Thursday, bound for shores near Haifa in northern Israel, where it is expected to arrive on Friday. The US has also sent around a dozen F-22 fighter jets to Israel. Meanwhile, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio will travel to Israel for talks on Iran on Monday. US Department of State issued a notice that Rubio's trip will run from 2nd March to 3rd and that its focus will be on relations with Iran and Lebanon as well as implementing Trump's 20-point plan for Gaza. In a rare break from decades of precedent, the top US diplomat will travel without reporters on his plane. Rubio also said on Friday he has designated Iran as a state sponsor of wrongful detention and that Iranian regime must stop taking hostages and release all Americans unjustly detained in Iran. And US Embassy announced it was allowing non-emergency government personnel and family members to leave Israel due to safety risk. Italy's foreign ministry also urged its citizens to leave Iran and advised extreme caution across the West Asia, citing persistently unstable security conditions. It advised Italian nationals in Israel to exercise maximum caution and remain vigilant. Britain said it was moving diplomatic staff out of Tel Aviv, where most countries maintain embassies, to another location in the country as a precautionary measure. France on Friday reiterated its advice to nationals not to travel to Israel, Jerusalem and the West Bank because of the security situation in Iran. Germany, in a new advisory, said it urgently discouraged travel to Israel. China, a main partner of Tehran, called on its citizens to evacuate Iran as soon as possible. All right, DD India's Akshay Dongre joins us for more on this story. Hi Akshay, the US President has in fact publicly expressed unhappiness with Iran nuclear negotiations. Tell us what exactly is Washington objecting to at this stage and how is Iran in fact responding to these concerns?
Well, Abhishek, if you look at the entire set of negotiations that have taken place in the last few days, especially, is that while the Omani leadership that was the mediator in this entire peace talk is confident that the talks are going smooth, that the talks are in fact progressing, and there are going to be 2 more rounds of talks in the weeks to come. But as we have rightly showed in our news report, that they are painting rather a rosy picture, that things are going quite well. However, the reality remains grim. In fact, if you listen to the statement by the US president, he still remains unhappy as far as the outcome of the negotiations are concerned. So he wants in black and white that Iran claims in front of the world and guarantees that it will not be going ahead with any kind of nuclear enrichment in any kind of development of nuclear bombs. And what he assumes is that since Iran has a lot of crude oil, it doesn't require nuclear energy sources as well. And that perhaps is the reason why he's saying that nuclear enrichment that is also used in the nuclear reactors to produce energy should be produced by Iran, because it can also be used for a nuclear bomb that Iran has been wanting to develop. So while the talks are progressing, the caution remains. Iran, though has not directly responded yet as far as these statements of Donald Trump are concerned, but the tensions remain, and especially given the fact that US itself has called for evacuation of all the non-emergency staff from Israel, China calling for their personnel, their nationals from Iran, many other countries following the suit as well. India even has suggested that as the flights are available right now, people should be evacuating these regions, especially Iran. So the tensions still remain, and the situation is grim, even though the talks are taking place, and perhaps the next two rounds of talks are going to be the only hope in averting any kind of major crisis in the region, because where we are headed right now is a total collapse of the particular region we are talking about, the West Asian countries, if a large-scale war breaks out in that part, because an aircraft carrier in the region, several stealth fighter jets are an indication that Israel, while the US is going ahead with the talks, it remains, it is in fact prepared for an entire build-up to take a massive military action against Iran if the talks fail through. So the situation remains grim, and we are right now, we can say that the situation is like a tinderbox there in that part of the region, and any wrong move can trigger a devastating war that can impact the entire world.
Exactly. But actually also Marco Rubio is scheduled to visit Israel in a couple of days on Monday. How significant is this visit in the context of the Iran negotiations and the wider West Asia security situation?
Well, it is important because Marco Rubio going there can be seen in both manners. By Iran, it can be seen as a preparation of further build-up and military action, but US claims that it is just prepared to take any course of action required to stop Iran from developing any kind of nuclear weapon. So the situation remains grim, and Marco Rubio's visit to Israel will be seen both optimistically and pessimistically by the countries in the region. Some are expecting that his arrival to Israel will be a sign that no immediate, but the situation remains tense.
All right, situation remains grim, and the next few days will be very crucial. We'll leave it at that. Thank you for your updates on this story, Akshay. Moving on, multiple ground clashes were reported along the Pakistan-Afghanistan border. Pakistan confirmed that 12 of its own soldiers were killed, and Afghanistan said it had lost 13 Taliban fighters. The Taliban, which denies sponsoring militant attacks on Pakistan, said it had launched what it described as retaliatory attacks on Pakistani military installations on Thursday, but was ready to negotiate. Taliban border forces in Khost described fierce clashes with Pakistani troops following airstrikes on major Afghan cities, including Kabul and Kandahar. It is the most serious confrontation with the once close allies, also trading cross-border attacks, and Pakistan describing the situation as an open conflict. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for an immediate cessation of hostilities between Afghanistan and Pakistan. His spokesperson Stephen Dujarric said UN chief is deeply concerned by the escalation of violence between the two neighbors and the impact that is having on civilian populations. Dujarric said years of conflict, poverty and natural disasters in Afghanistan had left nearly half of the population in need of humanitarian aid, and this number will only increase if the fighting goes on or escalates.
The Secretary General is deeply concerned by the escalation of violence we're seeing between Afghanistan and Pakistan and the impact that violence is having on civilian populations. He calls for an immediate cessation of hostilities, and he reiterates his call on the parties to resolve any differences through diplomacy. Further, on the situation in Afghanistan, our humanitarian colleagues are voicing concern over the impact of attacks, including reported incident at a transit and reception center at the Torkaram border crossing in the eastern part of Afghanistan.
Now, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has announced that his company has reached an agreement with the U.S. Department of Defense, referred to as the Department of War, in a statement to deploy its AI models within the Pentagon's classified networks. Altman took to X, saying that tonight we reached an agreement with Department of War to deploy our models in their classified network. Further details remain undisclosed as of now. However, sources indicate safeguards against mass surveillance or autonomous weapons may be included. Pentagon officials confirmed the partnership enhances national security capabilities. This reverses OpenAI's earlier push for ethical red lines, potentially dividing the AI industry further. No immediate comment from the White House. Earlier on Friday, U.S. President Donald Trump ordered all U.S. federal agencies to immediately stop using Anthropic's Claude AI models after the company refused the Pentagon's demand for unrestricted military access. The White House granted a 6-month phase-out for the Defense Department and threatened severe repercussions. Anthropic has vowed to sue, citing its ban on mass surveillance of Americans. The conflict stems from when the Pentagon had invoked the Defense Production Act and flagged the firm as a supply chain risk. Meanwhile, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has criticized Anthropic's arrogance, barring military contractors from dealing with the firm. Moving on, Poland has planned to introduce new legislation to ban social media for children under 15 years of age and will hold platforms responsible for age verification. The ruling Civic Coalition will present the draft outline on Friday, with fines planned for platforms that remain accessible to younger users. Education Minister Barbara Nowacka said on Friday, adding that the law could take effect by early 2027. Several European governments, including Denmark, Greece, France, Spain and Britain, have explored similar restrictions amid claims that social media services are harmful or addictive for minors. The British government said in January it was considering restrictions to protect children online after Australia implemented similar laws in December. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. In Italy's central Milan, 2 people were killed and around 40 injured when a tram derailed on Friday. The tram came off the tracks in Vittorio Veneto Street, close to the city's central station, crashing into a shop window. Dozens of ambulances, fire trucks and police cars responded to the crash, with crews escorting passengers in thermal blankets away from the scene. The public prosecutor's office is now investigating for negligent homicide and bodily harm. Peru's Interior Ministry carried out the destruction of more than 8 metric tons of seized illegal substances on Friday in Lima. The incineration, totaling 8,324.24 kilograms of narcotics, was overseen by Prime Minister Denis Miralles, who emphasized coordinated and permanent work of the Peruvian National Police through its specialized units. The destroyed substances were confiscated from various locations nationwide. Visitors will step back over 3,000 years to get a glimpse of one of ancient Egypt's most iconic pharaohs, Ramses the Great. The exhibition opens on February 28 at Neon in Battersea Power Station in London. The exhibition features 188 priceless artifacts and opulent treasures from the reign of Ramses. 3,000 years old, all of the artifacts in Ramses and the pharaoh's gold have come from museums and historical sites in Egypt. Japanese researchers have unveiled a robot monk powered by AI that they say can dispense spiritual advice and which could one day ease shortages of its human counterparts. Without a face and wearing a simple grey garment, Buddharoid brings AI and robotics together, offering spiritual advice while also performing human-like physical motions. Alright, still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. India-Bangladesh bus service restarts after 18 months. Remembering eminent physicist C.V. Raman on National Science Day today. And hundreds of surrendered Maoists watch Chhattisgarh assembly proceedings.
Pollution is no longer an accident. It's a system, an outcome of our choices. So today we ask a simple but urgent question. Is there a fix to all this pollution?
This biosphere, this project is, it can have an educational value, it can have a role model value, but in terms of scale, how it is going to be impacting overall, I think Uttarakhand is blessed.
Air pollution is a major problem globally, and certainly it is also in India. So monitoring air pollution is one important step towards managing it.
Bans can work if they're enforced, clearly communicated, internationally synced, and designed to avoid loopholes, and if they're backed by long-term political will.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. 15 people were killed and at least 30 more were injured after a Bolivian Air Force Hercules aircraft crashed onto a busy avenue amid inclement weather. The military aircraft had departed from the city of Santa Cruz and crashed after landing and skidding off the runway onto a neighboring avenue. The plane was carrying new banknotes from the country's central bank. Bolivia's central bank was set to address reporters later. The El Alto International Airport was temporarily closed following the crash. The national airline Boliviana de Aviación said the aircraft involved in the accident did not belong to its fleet. Now, Hungary and Serbia are ready to build a pipeline connecting the two countries to transport semi-finished oil products used to produce diesel and gasoline. Hungary and Slovakia have long clashed with Kiev over Russian energy supplies transiting Ukrainian territory. The Hungarian and Slovak governments also maintain ties with Moscow despite criticism from some EU partners and are challenging EU efforts to end energy imports from Russia by the end of 2027, a plan they say raise costs for their economies. Hungary's Foreign Minister Peter Zijato and Serbia's Energy Minister Dubravka Jedovic briefed media in Belgrade. Zijato said that a separate pipeline from the crude oil pipeline has been planned between their countries. He also said that their goal is to reduce the blackmailing ability of Kiev and Brussels regarding Hungary's energy supply. Now, Argentina's Congress on Friday approved President Javier Milei's flagship labor modernization law in a final Senate vote, marking a major victory for the libertarian leader's free market agenda. The reform extends working days to 12 hours, cuts severance pay, restricts strike rights, lowers employer taxes and eases dismissal rules to encourage formal hiring. Thousands protested across the country in recent weeks with clashes outside Parliament, though Friday's demonstration remained largely peaceful. The General Confederation of Labour, which is CGT, after last week's general strike, vowed to challenge the law in court. Milei insists outdated labour rules deter jobs, although critics, unions and experts call the measure regressive. After a long 18-month wait, the Maitri bus service between India and Bangladesh has finally resumed its route from Tripura to Kolkata via Dhaka. The bus began its journey from Agartala on Thursday, reached Kolkata's Market Street on Friday with 15 passengers. It returned to Agartala on Saturday carrying 22 passengers. The service had been suspended for a long time due to the unrest in Bangladesh, which caused significant inconvenience for many people. Passengers welcomed the resumption of the direct service, expressing hope that the Maitri bus continues operating to strengthen ties between the two countries. Now, in a milestone for Chhattisgarh's anti-Naxal drive, 120 rehabilitated former Maoists, including high-value surrenderees, visited the Legislative Assembly in Nawa Raipur on Friday. Part of a 3-day exposure tour, they observed budget proceedings. Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Vishnu Deo Sai welcomed them with Jai Johar, assuring dignity and opportunities, while Deputy CM Vijay Sharma promised skill training and jobs. Amid operations targeting a Maoist-free state by March 31st this year, over 2,500 Naxals have surrendered. The visit signals a shift from violence to constitutional faith, inspiring mainstream integration.
विधानसभा की कार्यवाही भी देखे हैं, यहाँ हम लोग के साथ उनकी फोटोग्राफी भी हो रही है, बहुत अच्छा उनको लग रहा है, उनका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है और उनके भविष्य की चिंता सरकार करेगी.
Now, February 28 is observed annually across India as National Science Day to commemorate the discovery of the Raman effect by eminent Indian physicist C.V. Raman in 1928. This year's theme, Women in Science, Catalyzing Viksit Bharat, highlights the research achievements and professional journeys of women scientists. It also aims to motivate more girls and women to pursue careers in science and research. National Science Day celebrates India's scientific progress and commitment to innovation, with advancements in quantum computing, AI, geospatial technology and climate research. Alongside initiatives fostering inclusivity and young talent, India is shaping a future driven by science and technology. As the nation moves towards Viksit Bharat 2047, continued investment in research and innovation will be key to global leadership and sustainable growth. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the National Science Day celebrates the spirit of research, innovation and scientific curiosity that drives our nation forward. He added that this day commemorates the groundbreaking discovery of the Raman effect by Sir C.V. Raman, which placed Indian research firmly on the global map. PM Modi urged countrymen to reaffirm the resolve to empower youth, strengthen research ecosystems and harness science and technology for national development and global good. Kuno National Park has announced the birth of a fourth cub to female cheetah Gamini. The presence of the fourth cub was confirmed during intensive monitoring by the field and veterinary teams. All four cubs are presently healthy and doing fine. Earlier on February 18, the park announced birth of 3 cubs to Gamini. Notably, each birth strengthens the foundation of Project Cheetah and reflects the passion, perseverance and round-the-clock dedication of the field staff and veterinary teams who have nurtured this dream into reality. This development reflects the continued commitment to scientific management and conservation under Project Cheetah and marks another positive step in India's cheetah reintroduction journey. The number of cheetahs in India now stands at 39, including 28 India-born cubs. Holi celebrations have begun in Mathura's Barsana, known as the abode of Radha, since February 25, with women and men playing Latmar Holi. Women dressed in traditional finery were seen playfully hitting men with bamboo sticks as they shield themselves. Our report.
मजा आ रहा है, बहुत अच्छी होली हो रही है, रंग गुलाल उड़ रहा है, सब अच्छा हो रहा है, बहुत आनंद आ रहा है हम सभी को। यहाँ पर श्री कृष्ण स्वयं होली खेलने आते हैं सभी लोगों के साथ। यहाँ की जैसी होली कहीं भी विश्व में है ही नहीं। ब्रज होरी, जग होरी, ब्रज होरा।
Colors for everyone, young and old. On Friday, Latmar Holi celebrations in Mathura's Krishna Janmasthan cut across age groups in keeping with timeless traditions of Braj. At the celebration ground, artists performed Leelas of Lord Krishna and devotees splashed gulal and colors. Songs, Charkula dance and Phulo Ki Holi, where flowers get showered, were part of the festivities. The celebrations peaked with the Latmar ritual, a traditional practice where women playfully beat men with sticks or lathis while the men defend themselves with shields.
अद्भुत, अकल्पनीय, अविस्मरणीय। भगवान जी के जन्म स्थान पर ये ब्रज की होली हो रही है, जो केवल लोग महसूस कर सकते हैं, जैसे लग रहा साक्षात भगवान होली खेलने यहाँ अवतरित हुए हैं। मैं प्रभु के चरणों में शीश नवा करके सबके लिए सुखमय जीवन की कामना करता हूँ। सभी स्वस्थ रहें, प्रसन्न रहें, निरोगी रहें।
Every year, the celebrations at Krishna Janmasthan recreate the ages-old charm of Braj Holi, blending devotion, culture and colors into an unforgettable experience.
Let's now take a look at other stories making news. In Nainital, women are preparing herbal gulal ahead of Holi for eco-friendly celebrations amid rising demand for natural colors. Using arrowroot as a base and extracts from fruits, vegetables and flowers, they are producing skin-friendly alternatives to chemical dyes, making it safe for the skin. The Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation has made elaborate arrangements for the third edition of Vedic Holi, featuring eco-friendly bonfires in more than 100 locations across the city. Holika Dahan bonfires will use cow dung and sticks to cut firewood use and reduce pollution, part of Civic Body's 2024 Waste to Wealth Net Zero initiative. A three-day celebration of flowers and local handicrafts, Vasantotsav, kicked off in Uttarakhand's capital Dehradun on Friday. A variety of indigenous flower species are on display at the event. The event aims to celebrate the hill state's rich culture and heritage, along with promoting traditional cuisine and local crafts. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Paramount acquires Warner Brothers in $110 billion mega merger. And England continues its unbeaten run in the Super 8 stage of the ongoing T20 World Cup by beating New Zealand by 4 wickets in Colombo. And hundreds of joyful revelers converge on the sacred banks of Ganges River to celebrate Bhasma Holi. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Business updates now. India's economy may grow faster than previously estimated this financial year as the government unveils a new framework for calculating output, highlighting the resilience of the world's most populous nation to global trade disruptions. India's Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation has released a new series of annual and quarterly national accounts estimates with base year 2022-23, replacing the previous 2011-12 series. According to the ministry, the revision aligns with international best practices and reflects the structural transformation of the economy over the past decade. It said that GDP is expected to grow higher at 7.6% in 2025-26, higher than 7.1% recorded in 2024-25 as per the new series. Further, India's economy is projected to maintain a strong momentum in third quarter of financial year 2025-26.
You would see that in all the 3 years, last 3 years, the growth rate, real growth has been over 7%. And the nominal growth rate over the last 3 years is averaging above 9%. And that's very important because these are the numbers when we talk of achieving Viksit Bharat 2047. The numbers being talked about are between 7 to 8% real growth rates and between 9 to 10% of nominal growth rates.
Subsequent to the economic survey and the budget presentation, we also have had the framework agreement with the United States arrived at, etc. And therefore, we are increasing our GDP growth outlook for FY27 from 6.8 to 7.2 previously to between 7 and 7.4% under the new series. We are actually, at the moment, we feel that the risk is on the upside in this range. That is, the economy is more likely to achieve a number closer to 7.4% rather than 7%, of course.
And the India-EU Free Trade Agreement has an option of mediation of outside experts for settlement of disputes, with the procedure be only initiated by mutual agreement of the two sides. This was informed by India's Department of Commerce in the provisional text of the agreement now made public weeks after both sides clinched the mother of all deals. Further, the deal underscored that both countries will accord each other the most favoured nation or MFN treatment for a period of 5 years from the date of entry into force of this agreement. The continuation of MFN benefits beyond 5 years will be subject to a review mechanism, including developments related to the entry, stay and work rights of Indian students, as well as progress on social security arrangements with EU member states. The provisional text of India-EU FTA comprises 20 chapters, including trade in goods, customs and trade facilitation, trade remedies, professional services, financial services, digital trade, intellectual property, good regulatory practices, dispute settlement, code of conduct and more. Notably, while the provisional text provides a first comprehensive look at the scope and ambition of the agreement, the tariff schedules will be released later. And Paramount Skydance will acquire Warner Brothers Discovery in a deal valuing the combined company at $110 billion. The two companies formally unveiled the deal on Friday. In a major turn of events, Netflix backed away from its $87.2 billion deal a day earlier, citing a price that was no longer financially attractive. The merged entity will include CNN, CBS, HBO and Nickelodeon, as well as some of Hollywood's most valuable franchises, including Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, the DC Universe, Mission Impossible and SpongeBob SquarePants. Under the terms of the agreement, Paramount will pay $31 per share in cash for all outstanding Warner Brothers shares, implying an equity value of $81 billion and $110 billion when including the mountain of debt Paramount will take on. Wall Street praised the deal, with shares of Paramount up more than 20% on Friday. Sports now will start with cricket. England continued its unbeaten run in the Super 8 stage of the ongoing T20 World Cup by beating New Zealand by 4 wickets in Colombo on Friday. The win helped the Harry Brook-led side confirm its top spot in Super 8's Group 2. Meanwhile, New Zealand remained in second spot with 1 win and 1 defeat in 3 matches. Pakistan, in third place with just 1 point from 2 matches, will need to beat Sri Lanka by a big margin on Saturday to advance to the semi-finals. England have registered 3 wins in as many matches in Super 8s. Football now, English club Chelsea have recorded a record-breaking $478.8 million pre-tax loss for the 2024-25 season, the highest in English football history. UEFA's figures show Chelsea's overall revenue was significantly lower than some of their Premier League rivals. UEFA's data set places the result as the largest annual deficit by an English club and the second biggest in Europe. UEFA's data also suggests Chelsea's loss widened by roughly $350 million compared with 2023-24. Chelsea's wage bill was the 6th highest in Europe, while Chelsea's squad is the costliest ever assembled. And the international governing body for aquatic sports said that the Diving World Cup scheduled for early March in Mexico has been cancelled. The announcement was in response to the recent unrest following the death of Mexico's most wanted cartel leader, El Mencho. World Aquatics said that the safety and participation of all athletes remains a fundamental priority for it. The Diving World Cup had been scheduled for 5th to 8th March and was seen as a key part of preparations for Mexican divers in the Olympic cycle leading up to Los Angeles 2028. An Ethiopian middle distance runner, Diribe Welteji, has been banned for 2 years by the Court of Arbitration for Sport after failing to provide a doping sample in February 2025. The court also disqualified all her competitive results since that time period, which includes her silver medal at the World Indoor Championships in China in March last year. Welteji was ruled to be negligent in failing to comply with an attempt to collect a doping test sample last year. World Athletics wanted a 4-year ban, but the Court of Arbitration reduced the sanction, accepting Welteji's rules violation was not intentional. The ban will end in June 2027, which means she could qualify for 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. And hundreds of joyful revelers converged on the sacred banks of Ganges River at Harishchandra Ghat in the holy city of Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh to celebrate the city's distinctive Masan or Bhasma Holi. Amid the vibrant chaos of India's Spring Festival of Colours, participants playfully smeared one another with bright gulal powders, but also tossing handfuls of ashes collected from funeral pyres in the air, symbolizing life cycle of creation and destruction. The ritual blends solemnity with exuberance, drawing both locals and visitors to embrace this profound centuries-old tradition unique to Varanasi. All right, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.